I put your paper in there,
Okay.
so you know how far down you are.
Oh, thank you.
He is,
You were very quick today.
they're actually from Charlottesville in Scandinavia.
All right, we're ahead and call the meeting to order. Get started on time for a change. It is always, before we start any of our meetings, we always ask a word of prayer. Mr. Cox?
Thank you, Chairman. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening. I ask that you be with all the board members and any decisions that they have to make, and thank you for allowing them to serve with our community and watch over the members of our community and bless them and keep them safe, and just let us do the best that we can, and thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When we get around to the administration building, I need to go to this book.
Yeah, okay. I'll put on enough weight by then. Yeah. When they roll my coffin right in. I'm holding out on you on that one. Yeah. Dr. Millsap, you want to see if we got a quorum?
All right, I will be happy to do that, Mr. Chair. I will call the roll. Ms. Bechtold?
Present.
Mr. Cox?
Present.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Here.
Mr. Booth?
Here.
And Mr. Terman?
Present. I'm going to go with the new guys.
You have a full quorum, sir, for your evening.
All right, and next is approval of our agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to add to it? Thank you. I said, go ahead and call it.
All right, if I might go ahead and call the roll for the approval of the agenda. Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, the agenda is approved. Thank you.
All right, the next on our agenda is the approval of disbursements. For this.
Is this on a new printer? Just asking. No? Seems lighter. I don't know. Okay. No biggie. Don't see anything. Did you have something? Jumped out at me. Always a biggie.
How much longer do you anticipate us needing to rent the storage space for the rec equipment?
We don't anticipate that will be much longer. We've got to figure out how to best dispose of it appropriately.
I was just wondering.
Thank you.
Any other questions or floor is open for a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Chairman.
Motions?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
All right. On the approval of disbursements, Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
Your disbursements are approved. Apologies. That'll look really great in the
Say,
transcript.
say that 3 times fast.
All righty. We have approval of the minutes for January the 11th, 2022.
I'd make a motion, we approve the minutes that we've been given out tonight.
Ready?
I'll second that.
Motion second, go ahead.
All right. So on the motion for approval of the minutes from January 11th, 2022, Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, the minutes are approved.
Wow.
We're on a roll. Board time. Yeah. All right, we have a board time. Anybody else or anybody want to bring up anything?
I just want to thank staff for their work during their time off. They know what they was working on, and it is appreciated. And I just thought they should be recognized.
Thank you, appreciate it. Mr. Chair, if I might, since there is a change in a little bit, we had talked to Mr. Chair about moving the board time further up the agenda, and so that suggestion came from talking to some of our counterparts that one of the ways that some of the supervisors tend to feel a little more connected with the boards and commissions that they're not a part of is to have folks report in who are on other boards and commissions during their board time. That hasn't been really historically how it's been used, but it was something that we discussed and Mr. Chairman thought was okay idea. So I wanted to explain because that is a change from how you've been doing things.
Anyone else have anything? Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everything y'all do, because I know y'all run a lot of interference for us. And I would probably be getting a lot more calls than what I do if it weren't from y'all, so and I appreciate it. And in case we don't say it, we do appreciate you. So, okay.
Thank you.
Next up is our public comment period. It is the intent that all persons attending the meeting of the board, regardless of handicap and conditions, shall have an opportunity to participate. If any person present requires any special assistance, please let the board know in order that arrangements can be made. As always, when you come forward, state your name, the district you're from, limit your comments to 4 minutes. It is a one-way thing, you know. If you have additional questions or comments, you can write them, give them to staff, or talk to a board member later. So, with that, I'll open the floor for comment.
Well, I appreciate y'all for one.
You're more comfortable, you can take your mask down.
Oh, I'm used to talking one of these things all day long. It is what it is. I hate to come up here and beat a dead horse, but I got to do this every once in a while to just get this off my chest. Dan Vest, Locust Grove District. And I'll start it out this way. Members of the Board of Supervisors, for clarification, I'd like for each of you in the future to publicly state what you have accomplished or what would you like to accomplish as a sitting member of the Floyd County Board of Supervisors. Do you have goals, long and short term, that you were or are planning to work on to better serve your constituents? Or were you just told to show up, vote, and sign off on what non-elected staff decided was important? Just so you know, many of us in the private sector have goals that we must achieve each year, or we will be judged accordingly by our compensation and even our continued employment. I have a few goals to suggest, and I have them in mind if, and I'm hoping someone would recognize the need for these. And I've brought these up many times before, but it gets worse every year. How about improving the roads in and out of Floyd County? Since 70% of the employed folks in the county, and that could vary a little bit, have to commute, that would be a great goal. A safer route to our jobs would be most considerate. Other than improvement to Route 57 on the outskirts of the county up here near Medicine, I don't believe there's been a major work to improve the commuting experience for the county commuter workforce since the mid-'80s, since we worked on Route 8. I personally drive through roads every day on the way to work which do not drain, the ditches are full of dirt, and are standing full of water causes the shoulders of the road, and which causes the shoulders of the road to crumble. It is documented in history books that the Romans even knew how to maintain their roads and drain them properly. But since the environmental issues that have been brought up, and primarily some little bitty turtle, we cannot maintain our roads properly anymore. It also seems strange to me that utility contractors for the past 2 years in this county have been going through these same protected ditches and tearing everything to dickens in the county without any consideration to what the state VDOT people have to abide by. I think that's a job that needs to be, and a concern that needs to be fed back to the state, and the hypocrisy there is just unimaginable. And our safety every day we drive on these roads is in jeopardy because of these things. And it doesn't, is our life worth less than a turtle? Is basically what it seems to me like the issue is here. It also seems, the solution is just to pave the roads over and over again as they crumble on the edges. It doesn't work, and it's a waste of our tax money. Although it does let a lot of contractors buy new pickup trucks every year, but that's another thing. Also, when I was on the EDA, a fellow board member and I were told that we were not to pursue any effort of going to the district VDOT meetings and talking to the state planning folks, since county staff was going to take that action. Can you tell me the progress has been made to date? Do any of you commute 40 miles plus per day to go to work? If not, this may be the reason this hasn't been a priority or been voiced to the state. Another goal is improve infrastructure to support businesses and help the industrial park. I'll let you go. But anyway, you guessed my drift there, right?
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Bob? Bob?
Just observing tonight.
Oh, Lord, take it man's temperature. Just picking, Bob, just picking. No one else, I'll declare the public comment period closed then. Next is our old business.
Good evening, everybody. Do I have it on now? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to be with you regarding the Phoenix Hardwoods agreement, in case you had any questions or anything. I believe this agreement is as you all had guided for it to be, but just so you'll know, Mr. Durbin did review it, as has the state's folks for Department of Ag and Consumer Services, and the company has also reviewed it. The EDA won't see it until next week because the way the month falls, they're a week after y'all this month. But anyway, since y'all are meeting and I've got it, I brought it to you all first. So, are there any questions? Would you like me to say anything? Or?
I have just some clarifications.
Mm-hmm.
On page 2,
Mm-hmm.
in the bottom paragraph, it talks about their average annual wage of at least $35,888.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include management, or is that hourly workers, or is that in total for the whole?
It's over, I believe that's overall, the average for that, yeah. And that's a number that they
Right.
presented to
Right,
us.
I
yeah.
just, you know.
Yep,
As far as extending on the performance finish date, all parties have to agree and it can be extended up to 15 months for obvious reasons.
Right.
So that's.
Right, that's
okay.
correct.
Let's see. And on page 4, under disbursement of local grants, talks about sufficient collateral. Now, will the county hold that collateral? In other words, is that going to be, since we're handling everything, it's like the others, it will,
That's correct. I'll have to read to see if technically it's the county or the EDA, but it's for y'all's
Well,
benefit because it's
somebody
your, right,
on our
right, it
side.
is, it
Yeah,
is,
okay.
yes.
right. And I noticed, it'll take me a second, I'm sorry, I had a lot highlighted, but I reread it and understood it better, but on these, like on page 7, it talks about 50% and 90% of the goals reached. And that, if I understood in here correctly, if for some reason they don't hit the minimum targets allowable, then it's up to us or the EDA, whichever, to actually take them to court to recoup any monies. Is
It
that
says you have to take action to try to recover it. It could include taking them to court. The good news is ultimately, if they don't pay, you all just hand the case over and the AG's office decides whether to pursue it further. You all aren't responsible for that money if they don't repay it.
And that's
So-
where I was going to next,
Yes.
the Attorney General to explain that. So if after our reasonable efforts, then it
Right.
goes to them and they handle it.
Right. And they may or may not pursue that for this amount of money. I don't know what their threshold is, because it's a relatively modest amount for them.
But in theory, they treat
They-
everyone
they
the
could,
same.
in
If they
theory.
let one go, then,
I assume that's the case, I just can't guarantee it.
Right. Okay. That was all I had. I just wanted to make sure I understood those particulars.
Anyone else? All right, I'll open the floor for a motion then.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the grant funding agreement for the Economic Development Authority of Floyd County and Phoenix Hardwoods, and authorize all persons to sign the document as well.
I'll second that.
Motion is second, any other discussion? Call roll.
All right, Mr. Chair, on the question of final agreement between Floyd County and Phoenix Hardwood related to the specific grant discussed a moment ago, and authorization for staff to sign is appropriate. Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Terman?
Yes.
That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming out, Ladina.
Was Angie doing a call in? Was Angie doing a call in on the ACE thing? No.
Mr. Chair, if it's all right, we will attempt to pitch it for her, and if we need to follow up at the day meeting on the 1st, we'll
Oh,
be
okay.
happy to do that,
Okay.
if you'd like. Okay, so, as board members, you will see in your packet, email that we received, and several of you did as well, from Angie Covey. And of course, she is the person that is responsible for the ACES program. Many of you know more about this program from your many years of commitment to it, but essentially, it is the program that allows some of our students to be able to attend the community college free of cost, and it is something that several other counties, such as Giles, Montgomery, Pulaski, and Radford, are able to fund their programs through the local government, and private donations, we have been very fortunate the last several years to have our folks supported through a grant from the Virginia Tobacco Revitalization Commission. Unfortunately, over time, the Tobacco Commission has fewer resources and therefore has been tightening their belt and therefore tightening our belt a little bit. People just don't smoke cigarettes like they used to. And so given that, they have decided that they will no longer fund any student who is enrolled in a general studies degree. And so right now, we have students that attend, they're either classified as general studies or mostly STEM and health. So they will continue to fund at this point folks who are in STEM and health, but not general studies. And so you will see the request from Ms. Covey is because the total was not reimbursed by the Tobacco Commission for the fall 2021 semester, that they are short $10,801.95. She does note that she has a donor who will assist with the current funding deficit, but they would like your assistance and advice as to how to proceed in the future. And I think they would appreciate some support now, but particularly in future budget years. And again, I know this is something that is very important to many of you, so we wanted to bring it to your attention kind of outside of the normal budget cycle because of the request related to this year as well.
That has been one of the biggest things, I guess, that I've enjoyed working with since I've been on the board. And if there's any way possible, I want us to keep on funding that thing. We was number 2. You know, Giles County, I think, was the first one, and we was number 2, right, Regina, to try this. And I've actually had parents and grandparents thank me for bringing this to the attention of the board, you know. And there's a lot of kids is, through no fault of their own, is getting an education now or an opportunity to get an education. And I'd heard a rumor that they was going to start going more towards technology, less on the other stuff, which, you know, I agree with too, you know. If they can get a certificate in welding or something above and beyond what Mr. Thompson's doing up here, which he does a great job on that. And I just think it's up to us to keep this thing going if there's any way possible. You know. Anyone else?
Yes, I agree. It's very worthwhile. Now, basically what they were short was $10,801. Do you know, was that totally covered by the donor or
No.
is?
It's not clear, but I think maybe not.
Okay.
And then there would also be the matter of anybody who is enrolled in the spring in those
Right.
programs as well.
So basically, as I understood it, Jerry, it was, the donor would pay 50% of the deficit, and we would have to come up with $5,409.
And that's for this semester. Then we'd still need to address the spring one.
Yeah, for fall.
I have no problem doing that out of contingency at all.
So, yeah.
I would like to take care of the students for the fall, but then for the future, because it is a large amount of money, reach out to the community and see how much support the community can give to helping their own students and the students of our community, rather than just the taxpayers.
I know when it first started, and Dana can help me here, you know, there was quite a few in our community that was doing it. And, you know, we've got new businesses and new people now that may be more interested in stepping up too, that's not aware of it. Of course, I don't know how we get that out to them. You know.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it seems to make sense. I know that a lot of businesses are hit up for a lot of different donations on a lot of things, and you know, Giles County has been very creative in that. Y'all have probably heard about the mud run that they do over there to try to, as a fundraiser, and they get a bunch of students from Tech that pay money to run through the mud, and so it's certainly, it's certainly something that we could inquire about, especially of the major employers that would benefit from students from those. We can certainly make that inquiry if you all would like.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to say, of course, predates me getting on the board, but just out in the community, I mean, that's the one thing, I didn't even know much about this, but that's one thing I've heard members of the community talk about is their kid was able to go to college and, really help them out. But, so I'm in favor of it, but I did wonder what would be like maybe an average of the general studies. I mean, I know this is $10,000 for the last fall, but the general studies in terms of how many folks generally are doing the general studies of the average of what that cost would roughly be moving forward.
I don't know the answer to that. It's been a few years since we did the first grant, and I could have told you back then. My guess is, this is just a guess, but my guess is it's, maybe $1,500 a semester per student, just if they use in rough numbers. So my guess is maybe that's 6 or 8 students or something like that. But I don't, like I say, that's just a guess, but just to give you a ballpark.
You think that's about the average 6 or 8 students doing the general studies each semester?
Varies.
Yeah.
Could vary.
Well, when they first go there, they may not have their mind set on exactly, they might have an idea of where they're headed, but they'll go into that general studies, then spring off of it.
Yeah.
So, this really is something that has been very good for the community. Our children, some have been first-time collegians in their family, and that says a lot. And Mr. Vest, you talk about goals. Well, this was one of them, helping our youth to become more involved
Only where I've
in,
been on EDA.
I know you have.
years, I know that.
I know you have. I'm just speaking for the record.
Yeah.
So, for me, this is a very important program that I think the Tobacco Commission is being very short-sighted on. Exactly, Jerry, in terms of sometimes a student goes to college and does not know what they are going to study, as you said. And a year in general studies is exactly what everybody takes. The idea that I understand from the Tobacco Commission was they didn't want to fund 2 years of community college so that a student could go on to a 4-year education. That seems so short-sighted and extremely, almost prejudicial in terms of its, if you're going into, design work, you can have the money, but if you're going to go into an engineering course, you don't get the money. And it just seems so, unfair, really. But they're the ones with the money. I wouldn't call them running out of money, because they got a lot of it. There is going to be a conference in March where the Tobacco Commission's Education Committee is meeting. This has landed on the desk of the governor as well. So there is a move afoot to try and replace these dollars again. All that being said, I think it's extremely important that we continue to fund it. And, perhaps we can get creative and figure out a way to make an endowment, obviously not within the county, but perhaps a private endowment that can be held at one of our local banks that could be used for the ACE program. So
If we'd have thought ahead of time, we could have done a mud run this week.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, but by tomorrow.
By Friday, we may still be.
We may still be doing a
Yeah,
mud
right.
run. But
Correct me if I'm wrong, Radina, because, like I say, I'm getting old and forgetful. But when we first started this thing, a couple years into it, we was getting enough between the Tobacco Commission and private donations that the county didn't have to put anything in for 2 or 3 years.
for a while,
Yeah, for a while.
And I think maybe some of the ones that's started off, this is sort of old hat to them now, and they may just be forgetting about it, and maybe if we give them a gentle reminder,
Yeah.
um,
I think there were a few private donations from the community early on, but I'm not sure that the counties had to put hardly any, if any, dollars into this.
No,
The main
no.
county
Yeah.
contribution has been time, because
Correct.
Kim's position manages, everybody puts in volunteer hours, which
Right.
is quite a cat chasing event to
Yeah, right.
to do. So it's not a small thing, but it's not been cash.
Right.
So y'all have been very fortunate to this point to not have local dollars in it.
I think we've have one student that came back to the county and is working for the county now, down in social services,
Oh,
that went through,
I think so.
that's cool.
that went through this ACE program.
That's very cool.
And then there's somebody working for one of our local businesses
Yeah.
in the
And
same way that went through the ACE program. So that might be, like, the idea of an endowment allows people to put money directly into, an account that
Yeah.
would then fund this particular ACE program. And I could see where some of our businesses that are receiving that help back again may want to
Right.
just chip in.
Yeah, and that would be a good question for Angie, because she actually is the director of the foundation at the community college. So
Yes.
they may have an avenue for that, and if not, the community foundation of the New River Valley
Absolutely.
would be another avenue for
Yes.
that. So
I don't know what ever happened to this program if Angie ever gets out of that.
Yeah, I know. If she retires, oh my gosh. Agreed.
She is something else. All righty, if there's nothing else.
Motion or-
Yeah, I guess we do need a motion on that. Thank you. Told you I'm getting old and forgetful.
Yeah.
You said you had the number, exact number.
Yeah.
I don't have it wrote
Yeah.
down, so if you want
do,
to make it,
yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Since you got the number.
Yep, let me bring up my calculator. Yes. I would like to make a motion, if I may, Chairman, to fund the deficit not met by the Tobacco Commission's in donations for the Floyd County ACE program in the amount of $400.97. That's about how much it comes out to.
And not throwing smoke on what you're saying, but
Right.
verify how
Yeah,
much it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's half of $10,801.95.
And for that to come out of contingency.
Contingency, yes, come out of contingency. Yeah, you can, all right, you want me to make it $5,401?
Yes.
Somebody can keep 3 pennies.
Okay.
Put that on the next round.
Yeah.
I'll second that when you're ready.
All righty. Motion and a second, any other discussion?
They like round numbers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Like the
every
IRS.
time. No other discussion, call the roll.
All right, on the motion to provide funding to the ACE program in the amount of $5,401 as requested, Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That passes unanimously. And if I might, as a side note on this, we have been working because of that piece where we are responsible for helping track all their volunteer hours. We've been working on trying to get some focused projects for them that would hopefully help us, but more importantly, help the county. So one of those is to do some of the maintenance work at the rec park and on the trail. And that would be supported through the, Partnership for Floyd. We've also talked to the tourism folks about having volunteers come work down there. And Philip and Kevin and I have talked about them being volunteers, interns as much as possible, given whatever their age may be. with EMS to try to get them interested in that, particularly if they are health students.
That'd be great.
I'm trying to remember if there was something else we did. I think that was it.
That'd be great.
So that will assist us with administration, but it would also allow them to give back to very targeted needs in the community.
Another good thing that come out of this, I remember a fellow in Giles County was telling me that when they first started this senior, he started working in the courthouse. He was remodeling it. He was helping cut tile and lay tile in the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
He liked it so good that when he finished it and started college, he started his own little tile business on the side, cutting and laying tile for people. So, it may be something that they find out that they didn't know they was interested in and help them make a little money that way too. But anyway, we'll move on. So, next was the transportation and growth area map.
Back again here. While you're passing that around, I did want to mention to you, if you hadn't heard, we got for the access road at the Commerce Center, where we're going up into the Phase 2, and the cost projections had come in high. Last year I applied for additional money to try to keep you all from having to put any money into it, and we were awarded just over $970,000 to help with that. So that puts us at about $2.5 million total for the road and the utilities together. So cross your fingers that will be enough when we finally go to bid later this year. But I was very pleased at that, so I wanted to pass that along.
Yep.
Dr. Millsaps, of course, has been working with us to focus even more attention on potential transportation funding. We know that the needs are high and the dollars are few and going down, so it's been a struggle to meet, even to begin to meet the needs for maintenance as well as for construction projects. And so we've been looking at some transportation funding again from VDOT, and I put a little summary at the top, but around 2015, they moved some of the construction money out of coming directly to you all and put it in a competitive pool so that you had to compete. And unfortunately, it's slanted in a lot of ways to work more for urban areas because it's based on how many people travel the roads and how many accidents, and it makes it harder for localities like us to compete for it. But I'll try to make a long story short. There's 4 ways to potentially qualify for some of this money, which cannot be used for maintenance generally, but it can be used for construction projects. So, intersection changes, road widening, signal changes, bike pedestrian kind of things. So these 4 things, any of them could help with eligibility, the bullet points you'll see on the front page. If the proposed project addresses a need of statewide significance, and the statewide significance is based on a map they have of roads of statewide significance, and the only road that crosses Floyd County in that category is 58 out in Medicine, that we have about this much of. So that would be eligible, but of course that's just been done. So that's then roads of regional significance. Well, they did not classify either Route 8 or 221 as roads of regional significance, and we've gone round and round on this for a few years trying to figure out if that was a federal thing or if that's a state thing. But I've come to believe that the General Assembly could change this, and perhaps they could do something. You could request something like every county should have at least 2 roads of regional significance or something along those lines, so that people like us aren't excluded. but that's just an idea. We could look at it further. The next bullet point is improvement to support an area that they call urban development type area, but it's really more like towns or areas where there's public water and sewer that you expect, more development to happen. I think Dr. Millsap shared that with you recently. So this is something that is an option for you all. The comprehensive plan already recognizes growth areas, where we expect there to be more growth just based on the number of houses and the number of businesses and, the roads and that sort of thing. So you could pass a resolution to designate that as a growth area for the sake of this VDOT program. I've got more information in the packet. I won't go through all of it tonight, but I did want you to have it. But to be clear, if you did decide to designate that, my understanding is, of course, only projects in the designated area would be eligible. That's still not to say that they would be competitive. It still takes, planning dollars, having a good project, having it compete well. But the good thing about that category is that's competition within the Salem district and not statewide competition. So at least it's, you got a little better chance that way. So I'll let you all take a look at that. If you did designate like the growth area that's kind of in and around town right now, if you did designate something that was in town, of course the town council would need to concur with that, and that could be complicated in terms of their comp plan. I haven't looked at it to see if what theirs says about that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. And I put the state code section in there that you would have to cite if you did a resolution or if you updated the comp plan to reflect that. You just have to cite the code section. You don't have to commit to anything firmly. The only things that I saw in it when I reviewed it that you have to commit to firmly is that you would review the growth areas every 5 years, just like you do the comprehensive plan review every 5 years, and that the town would have to concur if there was an overlapping area. And it's important to note, I highlighted it in the code sections, most everything says may be appropriate, so may is very good because that means you have wiggle room there. When it says shall, of course, that's the firm commitment. Right. So anyway, and the last a couple of other things I attached is this is a worksheet an information sheet from VDOT about making this designation and kind of what it means. And you all may have got this in your packet already, the map that shows all of the expected growth areas in the county, but I put that in there. Oh, you got a little bit different map, okay. What this map is from the comprehensive plan and shows kind of anticipated growth areas. So you can see kind of where they are, but the biggest one is around town and stretching Route 8 north currently. So, all right. As you think about this, consider potential projects of, like intersections, or again, it has to be construction related projects, not maintenance, but this could be an opportunity. So Dr. Millsap's just asked that we share a little bit of detail with you. Any questions or anything I can try to answer or not answer?
We just want to be sure that any of these things we get into with the grant money, that we don't end up like the town and we're responsible for future maintenance, upkeep, and replacement.
Sure, yeah.
And anywhere along the line, we need to get that in writing.
Right.
Because that, they didn't find out on these sidewalks until they were done, and then say, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is kind of that way with, even if someone's building a new road to state standard, and until you reach a certain point where they take it into the system, whoever has it is responsible for it,
And there's no guarantee they're gonna take it into the state system.
Right.
That's the catch-22.
Yeah, like at the Commerce Center, that new road, I feel good that they will at some point, but it will be after businesses are in place there. And so there is going to be, if any maintenance is needed, it does fall back on the owner until it's taken into the system. And I haven't had a chance to catch up with Dr. Millsaps on this since I've been back today, but with that project at the Commerce Center, the drainage that VDOT requires to be done, of course, they're saying that we've got to be responsible for that drainage. And I think that's the way the original park was, the drainage we have to maintain. So unfortunately, there's pros and cons to this, and that's one of the cons, that sometimes you do have at least temporary responsibility, or if not long-term responsibility for some of those elements. But it's good to think about all that and decide if it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Never a free ticket.
Right.
Usually nothing's free.
Right, that's exactly
And
right.
the devil's in the details.
That's exactly right, yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us down to Dr. Millsap's report.
Thank you. And just a reminder that in addition to all the great work that Ladina and Carla have been doing with us, Eli from the Regional Commission has been utilizing some of the rural transportation planning dollars that the Regional Commission gets to start helping us with this process. And so in addition to this, we've been talking to Eli a little bit about how to start prioritizing projects and how you all would like to go about that and go from there. So just wanted to give them a plug for helping us out with that. Mr. Chair, if I might, to move on to my rest of my report. And I do have a couple of things to add that are not on here, so please bear with me a little bit. The infectious disease plan is on here. As you know, I guess almost 2 years ago, you all started looking at an infectious disease plan for the county, and you have so far passed 2 versions of an infectious disease plan. Those have been primarily modeled on the requirements that have come from the Commonwealth related to our role as an employer. And so you have one of those in place now. The state agency and board, I guess, regulatory board that is in charge of setting this direction met February 16th, and at that time rolled out some suggested policy for comment, and there will be a 30-day comment period on that. After that, of course, then we will know what the new state rules are, and then you all will have to decide what you would like to do after that. But wanted to make you aware of that so you could be thinking a little bit down the road on that subject. We've been following up with Ashley and some of the folks who handle this on the regional basis, and so they've been doing a good job of keeping us abreast of all those things. Personnel-wise, I think I may have mentioned before, but we're excited that we have a maintenance person that's starting March 1. And they will be both a maintenance person and someone who will be training to be a building official over the course of time, and that they have some requirements of getting those different requirements handled, taking the test, all those kind of things as part of their employment. So we're excited about that. As you know, the position kind of out front that supports both the building official but also the rest of the staff to some degree is currently open, and we are accepting applications for that. So if people are interested, please go ahead and get those applications to us. Our application is on the website, and so we'd love to talk to folks that would be interested in that. We're looking for folks that are very organized and has some experience, hopefully, with customer service and administrative support, proofing, all those kind of things. I think our other big news on personnel is related to EMS. We have made several moves there. We've had some folks that have left us from EMS, and we've had to pay out some of their acquired comp time. Some of those have been sizable, just so you're aware. But in addition to that, we have moved forward with increasing the pay of all of the full-time folks to by $1 an hour, and are happy to be able to utilize some of the ARPA funds to do that, so very appreciative of that. In addition, we formally started the Bring a Friend program to bring it to essentially $1,500 as once you get through your first training period. And if someone brought you in, so someone who's currently in EMS said, hey, you would be great, come join us, and they have to kind of continue to mentor them. But that person would also get $1,500. We're extending that idea to solid waste as well, as we have a couple of folks who are leaving us there, and a workforce that some of them have been there a long time and are nearing retirement possibility, so we need to be paying attention to that. So that's why we've moved along that direction. In addition to those things, which I had talked to you about before, related to EMS staffing, Kevin and Kim and Philip and I met today to talk a little bit about our challenges in keeping 2 trucks rolling all the time. And I will say it has become very, very challenging. We currently have, depending how you look at it, 3 to 5 full-time positions that are open. And that makes our move to having folks be on 24 hours, off 72, and have someone who is on call, makes that not work as well. The on-call piece in particular, because you don't want people to be working 2 24-hour shifts on a regular basis. That becomes problematic over time. We are looking at having to focus a little bit more on making sure we always have 1 truck, and that's the number 1 priority. And then if we have one person to run a second truck, we have to have 2 people to run a truck. If we have only 1 person available, then we're going to start moving to try to find a volunteer, either through the rescue squad, or maybe through fire, or somebody else from the part-time list, and I'll return to the part-time list. But needed to alert you to the possibility that there has been, and there may continue to be, some times that we will have to be focused on just 1 truck, and make sure that happens. So I wanted to alert you after we work through this today, as a way to try to start addressing this in another manner. With hopefully your blessing, we would like to also go back and increase the hourly rate for part-time. My understanding is they have not had an increase since 2015, and it has become not something that is financially lucrative for people to do. So, but before I'd kind of been letting you know what direction we were going before, and this is a little bit of a shift. So before we said anything more, wanted to talk to you all about this, and recognizing in all of this, it is very important, I know, for you all to have 2 trucks. But given where we are on staffing, that's pretty much where we can go. We're going to try to do a little bit more broad advertising and outreach, and trying to be a little bit more creative. If you all have any other ideas, that would be great. I will say, as I mentioned, I believe in an email to you all, that the volunteer squad has been very helpful. Daniel's been jumping on a truck. I think Philip, as a head of EMS, is starting to jump back on a truck. So everybody's trying to make sure everyone's safe. But I wanted to bring this to your attention and get your thoughts before we move forward. If you had any, I know you have concerns, but any concerns with where we're trying to go to fix it? Good?
We're gonna have to do something, because we've hurt them.
Okay, all right. Well, again, I just wanted to let you know about
Yeah,
that. I'm sorry, Mike.
I just wanted to recognize our volunteer squad as well. I follow this closely, and I am very pleased with how well currently things are between our volunteers and our paid staff and our EMS crews. There seems to be a renewed commitment to the health and welfare of our county citizens. I'd never doubted that was in existence, but I know time and commitments and everything kind of seem to draw people apart or away from volunteering. But this has been a very trying time for EMS across the nation. And I was at another meeting when I found out Montgomery County is going to paid staff too. And we've already started this a long time ago, so we're at a point of growing pains, and, you know, that compounded with the pandemic has left us in a situation. But I think I applaud all of your efforts. I mean, there's no easy solution, so hopefully we'll be able to see, I think, the idea of going into the schools and, you know, getting, you know, kids that are wanting to serve their community in a way, learn more about emergency medical services is a really good way to go.
Anyone else?
Okay. And
Thank you for trying to resolve these issues.
I appreciate it. It does keep me awake a little at night, so thank you. And I appreciate, as a follow-up, you're right, I failed to mention, Ms. Cookenbook, our folks will be participating in the career fair that's coming
Oh,
up.
good.
So that's part of the plan. So thank you very much for that. Other item, I think that's all the personnel items. I have on here the Tourism Summit. Of course, that is tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the Floyd Event Center. And we are scheduled to run till 2:30. Right now, we have 48 people signed up for the
Great.
event. So we're excited about that. Lunch will be served. One vegan meal will be available. And so we're excited about that. The Virginia Tourism folks are coming, and they'll be facilitating. They're also bringing the person that's in charge of the lovely visitor center on 77,
Excellent.
where we always have such a great showing. So we're excited about that. So we'll be bringing some thoughts from that meeting to when we meet again. I wanted to remind you all of your retreat. To Mr. Vest's point earlier, as you recall, we have a Board of Supervisors / management retreat scheduled for March 4th. That will be hosted at the offices of the Regional Commission in Fairview. And Fairlawn, thank you, Fairlawn. And so we plan to start about 9 o'clock and run about 2/3 of the day. Hope that will work. I'll be sharing some information. 9 a.m., my apologies. We'll do a little bit of get-to-know-you time with each other, and I'll share some information to give you some context for as we move into the budget process. And then Kevin Bird, who runs the Regional Commission, will be facilitating some of the prioritization conversation with you all to hopefully give the staff some direction.
I want to throw something out there, because I don't think my wife let me have her new vehicle, and I don't want to drive my farm truck over. So, I was wondering about, take the county van, and any board member that wants to meet down here, you know, we can carpool over,
Tahoe.
Yeah, maybe the Tahoe.
or van, whatever it is. I don't know.
We have both.
Yeah, okay, well, Tahoe will be all right. You can
Oh,
get a wagon.
oh, we can take the van.
Bus from the school.
Yeah.
There's the Tahoe.
You can get a covered wagon, put it behind it on.
I know. I was just being kind
But
of funny.
if we do that, what time should we be down here? By 8:15?
8:30 anyway.
Yeah, probably that time of the day, maybe closer to 8:15.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right, Jeff.
Yeah. Back to the point about 70% of the folks commuting. That's when they're on the road. Someone who's, for one more week or at least a little bit longer, coming the other way.
70 miles an hour, so. Or they want to be.
So, all right, I'm going to skip over for just a moment the IT update because Chris has several things that he wanted to mention to you. But if I can go on to just a couple of other quick things. We do need to get your consensus for a small change. Hopefully, as you all recall at your last meeting, you approved the hazard pay increase for employees, and we particularly had discussion about the library staff, and they were included However, we learned after the meeting that there were more part-time library staff than we realized. So while you funded part-time and full-time at the library, we didn't have enough of the part-time slots in there. There are actually 4 additional part-time people. So we wanted to make sure before we corrected that we had your concurrence to make that move.
So moved if you need it. Consensus or motion, or what do you need?
I think consensus would be fine, just so there is
I'm good
approval
with it.
for the
I'm
change,
good.
since it
Yeah.
is a change in
We want to
disbursement
make
of
sure we
funds.
got everybody.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you. This is an IT-related thing, but wanted to let you know that thanks to a lot of the great work by Chris and by Kevin, Chris was able to tell us today that we're actually going to be getting a weekly cybersecurity scan courtesy of Homeland Security. So hats off to them for pulling that off for
Lovely.
us. Really great. My last 3 things, right here, 2, I guess, are phones. Chris also met, as you recall, some time ago. We put out an RFP for phone service and got a response from one vendor. Chris met with them, and I think we're pretty happy with what we have. So at the next meeting, we'll be bringing something forward for you to approve a new contract. What's exciting about that is we will be able to use some grant funding for some one-time upfront cost. And that will have the effect of not only protecting us, but also lowering our monthly telephone bill.
Well, there you go.
So we're excited about that, and thank you, Chris,
live
for
with that.
working on that. Yes.
It's always nice.
Yes.
Saving some
My
money.
name- My name's Jimmy, take all you give me.
All right, 2 quick remaining things. You will see in what, I meant to have it in your correspondence, but I forgot, so Kim handed it out, a letter that some of you all received back in November from the new owners of Tuggles Gap. And this relates to the permit fee that they had to pay for their sign. As you know, our building fees are generally fairly low and about the same, a little bit lower than some of our surrounding counties, with the exception of this one. And so he wrote to you all back, those of you who were on the board back in November, it was in the packet. There was no action taken at that time. But he sent me a note this week and asked if I could officially ask you all to consider his request related to his permit fee. And so I said I would bring it back to your attention, however you would like to handle that.
Lots of times, no action is action.
So they
Well-
say.
Fair enough. Well, I promised that I would bring it up, so I have done so. If you all want to talk to me more about that, I'd be happy to do so. And I think my final, that's not true. Got a very nice letter from Rhonda, so appreciate that. I did go to a couple of other meetings I can talk to you about aging, and we met with Lisa and talked about some revenue issues. But I think the last remaining thing that I have, until we turn over to Chris, has to do with board minutes. And so, as you know, this continues to be a challenge for us. And so was wondering if you all would consider, now that we have the recordings of these meetings available not only live, but are posted. If you look at the website, you will see that they are all posted and available. Given that level of transparency that you are providing through video content, would you allow us for the next set or 2 of minutes to try to do a little bit more summary or overview minutes, more similar to you would get from, say, a nonprofit or a different type board meeting that includes, of course, all of your decisions, major actions, those kind of things. And in terms of things that maybe we would be sure to, if you allowed us to try this, that we would, of course, want to make sure we're still verbatim in the minutes, would be anytime a member, you all as a member of the board, said, I would like this comment for the record, we will be very studious about making sure we do that, because that's clearly important to you if you make that comment. We would do the same for any outside speakers, such as we have any of the elected officials come from the State House or something like that. And then finally, anyone who comes and speaks for public comment, since they have made the effort to come to the meeting and say their piece, that we would give them that level of respect. So if you all would possibly consider letting us do that, and we would still have the transcriptions. And so one of the things that we could also do is put at the end of the summary minutes some notation about being able to go to the recordings, and we could probably also notate, for instance, looking at tonight's agenda, that on item 10A, we could put approximately how far in it was discussed. And so people wouldn't have, fortunately, this is one of our shorter meetings, but some of the ones that have gone very long, people may not want to sit through 5 hours to get to the 10 minutes that mattered to them. So maybe that could help
Right,
with that process.
and that's doable?
Oh, yeah, I mean, totally.
Good,
That's very easy.
good. Quiet.
Because
I thought it would.
I wasn't on the ball there. Sorry.
So,
I think,
I'll give you your cues.
I think we should move in that direction. I mean, we're pretty open, and that was the whole idea prior to video and recordings and everything else. And now that that's available, I don't have a problem trying that. And
Absolutely.
I think, you mentioned those things, but if we are specifically having a discussion like on a project like the school project or the Shell building or something like that, it may be a little more detailed. Maybe not our comments, but the details more than just an overview, but.
Like the old Dragnet program, Joe Friday would always say, the facts and only the facts. And I say, that's really all we need. We don't need this gibberish we go through up
Right.
here and some of the rabbit trails we go down, and, just tell it like it is and leave it there,
I think if it would make your job easier and free up so much of your time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's well worth trying,
thank you.
if it works, yeah.
Absolutely, and I agree, Jerry. Now with this new system, that it's on, that it's archived, that links are available, that people can go and see what they need to see, that makes the whole need for the transparency that we strive to give our citizens. I mean, it's right there for them. They just have to go to our website, and it's so much easier now, and you've done a really good job in a short amount of time, Chris, so I thank you from the
Well,
citizens, too.
and from the standpoint, like, in April, when we have our 6-year road meeting, we want to specifically list the projects in there. If we have roads that are added, or abandoned, or discontinued. From personal experience here recently, we definitely need those identified.
Right.
It's like Levi, I know he's heard this 100 times himself, when an attorney says, or the Commonwealth tells you, quit over testifying. Just stick to the facts and, don't go down this other stuff,
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do, is just not over talk a point, We don't have to comment on everything, we can let some stuff go. And, but, like I say, hit a help staff out, save staff time, and, and then, not that y'all don't have anything else to do, may give you a longer coffee break or something, I don't know.
Well,
But no.
and like she said, if it's something we specifically want in there, we can request it
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah.
put it,
Yeah.
so.
Because I've got to that point where I've seen a sign today, it said, I learned 2 things in life. I can't remember the first one, and the second one is write everything down. So, yes.
There you go.
Because I got where I forget a lot of stuff. If it weren't for my day planner, my life would be ruined, so, yeah.
Mr. Chair, that was the last of what I had, other than having Chris ask you.
I just have one quick question, if I could. When we were doing that money, you were talking about the library, part-time staff and whatever. Did we ever check downstairs?
I did.
Because those people
Yes, I
sometimes,
spoke to Chad, and they did not.
They did not receive
They
anything
did
from the
not.
state.
There was a, from what I understand, a request from prior, and it was not granted at that time,
Right.
so they did not receive anything.
I'm not gonna ask for it, but maybe we could study on it. Could you get us a number together
Okay.
based? I'm just asking to think
Absolutely.
about it. Because the group downstairs, the state doesn't claim them, and not, you know, they're in no man's land in a
They are.
lot of ways.
I know.
And I know they did a lot as far as continuing, you know, meeting with clients and having, you know, one-on-ones where they could. Now, they did a lot from home and they did a lot with behind the screen, but they still, just like the others.
Absolutely, if not more.
I hear so much about, well, we worked through the pandemic, we worked through the pandemic. True, you did. But we got some people that's out there face to face with it, with no
Right.
protection other than these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got others that's working behind plexiglass that, you know, they've always been safe.
Well, that's why we did
Yeah.
the scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, see, that's the point. A lot of them don't pay no attention to that scale.
Nope.
You know,
Well,
they just saying, well, we was there, we should get paid. You know. So, you know, thank you for your service, but, you know, there's some that deserves it more than you do.
well, we just have to, long as we pay attention to the scale, that's the
Right.
main
That's
thing.
right, that's the
Yeah.
main thing.
But,
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Thanks.
All right, so
Oh, boy.
More
yeah,
paperwork.
Oh,
so,
boy.
I don't like the way you
let me
said
hand
that.
this out. I
Yeah,
can't
more
promise,
paperwork.
I can't promise this won't get expensive.
Oh.
Now, wait a minute.
There should be enough there. I've got a copy for myself.
All
All
right.
right.
One of
So
these? No.
there's a lot of
The
stuff.
whole stack.
That one
The
whole,
whole stack.
that whole stack. Wow,
They're kind of like L bracketed.
yeah.
I don't remember how to call that, but so I wrote down a lot of stuff on there that I'm basically going to talk through really quickly. If you wanted to read my stream of consciousness, you could do that on the paper. But basically, as we're in the transition period from the MSP to me, there's the list of 10 things that I listed out that we need to find replacements for, and I am trying to be as good of a steward of a future budget that I will be creating as possible, but also I put down the dates that all of these things need to be standing by, otherwise they go away. So for example, next Wednesday, our spam filtering and Office 365 backup go away. So I put together, and I've been trying really hard to get this together in a very short time, a quote from a vendor to replace those, as well as cybersecurity awareness training. So I have 3 quotes listed behind everything. They're from a product called Barracuda. And basically, there's a 12-month term, a 24-month term, and a 36-month term. And the reason why I chose this program was basically everyone's dissatisfaction with Sophos and moving towards not only a better product that will serve our like security posture, but also it's a lot more cost effective than what Sophos would give us. The MSP that we have leverages the scale of what they're serving to get a much higher discount on the product than we'd be able to for us. So what I went on ahead and did is they have a standard pricing that they would just give a company like us. We are in a happy coincidence that we are at their fiscal year end, and they're basically writing off a lot to improve their numbers as they come in. I had them write these quotes as net 30 so that we could slide in under their fiscal year end and still get the discounts. On a 12-month term, they're giving us a 22%. 24-month term is a 38%, and a 36-month term is a 44% discount. I listed out what the cost savings per year would be. Basically, this is my kind of way of asking for permission to make this happen so that we could not lose part of our security posture. Sophos spam protection will be going away, as well as our Office 365 backup. The most critical thing is that backup because it's how we create our historical data retention for all of our emails, which are FOIable.
Yep.
So, and this would be the added plus that I put basically like a white paper that describes every product that the Barracuda product actually will be getting from them. And it's, if you wanted to read into that, you can. But basically I would like for you guys to basically choose a term length and hopefully talk about like discussion of this. Pardon me if I don't really know how to ask for what I'm doing correctly. But basically we need to, yeah.
So in this, you say that our safest pricing structure would be the 24-month term, but obviously the 36-month term gives us a maximization of savings. Why do you say that the 24-month is the safest and not go ahead with the 36?
Yeah, so I'm kind of one of those people that, as in my time in tech, there's been a lot of things that have changed. Basically, the hierarchy of this is the best product, this is not a good product, this is a medium level product. For example, the patch management, and I'm not going to go into like a whole lot of detail because of our security posture, but we have a certain product that patches all of our computers that is a really reputable product that as of last December is ranked 0. Like it is no longer reputable at all. And that's what we're currently relying on. That was a product that with the MSP we had another 24 months to go on the term because we had it for 5 years through the MSP.
Right.
In my opinion, doing things with security posture, it's safe to leverage the highest amount of cost savings without committing yourself to a product that could leave you high and dry.
Right.
Just in case they change basically being on top of the game security wise. I'm very much a fan of as much cost savings as possible, but also being able to ditch a product if it's not serving you with minimal cost loss. So that's why I kind of was thinking 24 months, that would give us about the same time that we've had with the Sophos product. And the Sophos product was good when it started and now no longer is for the county, as we've all had our grumbles with it. So that's why I put down that, in my opinion, the safest structure would be the 24-month. It's long enough to get a really awesome discount, that 38% discount, but short enough to where we could hop off if something really went awry.
Have you seen a contract from them yet, or any of that information?
Contract with what? There are 3 quotes from ESI
Well, I know
that are at the back.
well, I was talking about you was talking about this 24-month with them. That was that Barracuda?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Barracuda is the product itself, and we buy Barracuda through a value-added reseller, which is called.
Which is the others?
Yeah.
All right, which they have their quotes there, but as far as what I'm getting at is, and you hit on it. We're talking about, and I don't have a problem doing 24 months. I just want to know the back out. In other words, if it doesn't work, what's our quick getaway and find something else?
Yeah, so
And
this
what
would
the
basically.
details of that is.
Yeah, so this would basically be like a Hulu subscription, I guess is the easiest way of describing it, is we would buy the product to use for all 24 months, and in the entry, we have a 30-day back out, where it's like, oh, this product, we can't get it configured well enough to actually suit us. We're backing out and we get 100% of the money back.
Okay.
I believe including the professional services charge of $7,000, it's like a total 100% back out clause. But basically, we license it for the amount of time, and it would be very similar to our Office 365 subscriptions that we have. Even if we were to stop using it, we're still paying it until the end of the term. And I believe this is a one-time net pay, so we would just pay it once and we just leverage it until we're done with the term. I don't believe that there's a way to shorten the term, but that's kind of why I use the term cost loss, is if we needed to hop ship to improve our posture, hopefully we're far enough into the term to where it's like, okay, we're only losing out on 3-4 months.
Right. Yeah, and I understand that, but you answered my question. I want to know going in.
Yeah.
If it had a window that you could get out and still get your investment back.
Yeah, I talked with the engineer on this on Friday when we were trying to get everything put together very quickly, and he was like, we give you 30 days from the time that like we start you with the system. So for example, next week I'm probably going to start with the system on Monday, just working with them on the 28th, and that'll give us, you know, whatever amount of months from that date we would
Gotcha.
have. One day back on 11/59 would be our end day, but 30 days from the day that we start, we're in our back out period.
That's fine.
But yeah, I tried to list as much like, you know, numbers here as I could, and tried to be as transparent with what the product is. It is a significantly better product at a more competitive price, and
Right.
it's actually the only product that I was able to actually get that would be able to onboard us in quick enough time to meet the not so savory timelines that I have to fit. But
It's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, very nice.
well, I'm on the record, so.
And Mr. Chair, if I might, just for the record, we would be doing this under emergency procurement provisions. So that's why we have 3 quotes. They're from the same vendor, because we do not have the time, the luxury to go through a full procurement process on this.
Chris probably knows more about this than I do, but, because he keeps up with this, but I read a little article the other day that was talking about these ransomwares and these hackings, you know, where they used to go after big companies and industries and governments and stuff like that. They found out that it was more profitable. They don't get as much, but if they hack into little places, little businesses, and something that really got to have it, and they'll pay quick to keep from going bankrupt. And so I think we need all the protection we need, because I'd always thought, well, you know, who would hack the old county like Floyd? And I found out right quick who would do it, you know.
Yep.
So, you know, we need all the protection we can get. And you get what you pay for.
Yeah, and, you know, there will be more things like this. Some of the things I'll email in enough time to basically request for it to be under closed session, because I believe certain parts of our security posture do not need to be made public. But this is, you know, I don't have any issue with people knowing that we're filtering out spam. So,
So, I guess, under the emergency procurement, do you need a motion? That is correct.
And we like the 2 years, the 24 month? All right. So I'll make a motion to go ahead with this Barracuda company's proposal for a 24-month contract
Unauthorized signatures.
and authorize appropriate signatures.
I'll second that if you're ready.
Yeah.
Second.
Might as well be.
Thank you for the help.
This would come out of contingency?
And I think we need to clarify.
Okay, sorry.
It's
Yes. Okay. So, yes, the motion is to approve the ESI Barracuda spam filtering office backup
For 2 years.
for 2 years.
That's what I second, so I thought that's what it was, so.
I heard it the first time.
Motion is second, go ahead.
Okay. All right, on the motion to approve under the emergency procurement, the 2-year contract for Barracuda ESI for our spam filtering and appropriate signatures. Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All you do, you know, because you've really helped us out here lately.
And the last thing IT-wise is, you guys all got given your iPhones and iPads. I'm here every day. Well, not the weekends, but I can be here on the weekends. But, yeah, if you guys need help setting these up, they're kind of bare bones at the moment, but, you know, they work excellent. If you set them up. I gave you guys a guide on how to set up your biometric authentication, how to log into your apps, all that jazz. To create your Apple ID, if you could just see me, that way we could create it together. Or if you're savvy enough just to do it under your Floyd Cova email, that way it's tied and foyable. Go on ahead and do that. But again, just call me, email me, and we'll get everything squared away. If you need extra apps, let me know, and I can push them remotely to your device. So.
You probably done answered this and you went right over my head or whatever. The telephone numbers on our phones.
Oh, yeah, so I can go on ahead and email everyone the sheet that I have that has everyone's
Okay, that's what
phone
you said a
number
while
on it.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit before the meeting.
Yeah,
For the record,
right,
I can
yeah.
do that. That's
Yeah.
not an issue. And again, Kim wanted me to clarify that I can meet one-on-one, and that's not an issue at all, so.
And you'll be working Thursday or Friday.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
I'll
call
be at
and
the
set up
summit
an
tomorrow
appointment.
with everyone.
She knowed it was coming.
Yeah,
What did you say about tomorrow?
I'll be at the summit, the tourism summit tomorrow.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be down here tomorrow evening.
We can do one of them ride togethers on Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean Thursday or Friday, so.
but
He did volunteer to come in on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that is all I have for the IT update.
Is there anything else?
The only thing I have left is mark your calendar if you're interested. The Agency on Aging is having of course, that's one of the organizations that serves Floyd County. And I'm on the boards, thanks to y'all. They are having a Grass and Grill first annual event on May 26th, 5:30 to 8 at Nesselrod on the New in Radford. And so the tickets will be $50. And I just wanted to let you know about that as we start through the budget process with them.
What
Can I
day
borrow
again?
May?
$49.98.
May 26th, 5:30 to 8. Yes, and they're hoping to restart the Friendship Cafe here in the next couple of weeks in Floyd. And we've talked about maybe making some changes, additions in location over time related to that.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll take it.
I'll second.
I guess that counts for four votes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Cookover?
Yes.
And Mr. Turner?
Yes.
All right, you all stand adjourned. Thank you.